Hello everyone. So in this video I shall be talking about how to launch an EC2 instance in the AWS local region for Nigeria. So first things first, we need to move to the appropriate region where that is possible. So that's possible in the South Africa region in Cape Town. So I'm going to go over to the region selector and click on Africa. So before you launch the instance, you need to do two things. First of all, you need to enable local zone, and then second of all, you need to create a VPC, a subnet in a VPC that will attach to that local zone, and then you can launch the EC2 instance in that particular subnet. So first things first, let us go to EC2 and enable the local zone. So navigate over to EC2, and then we go to the local. We go and enable local zone under zones. So this is the EC2 console dashboard, and under the EC2 console dashboard you can see zones over here. I click on zones, and then we are going to enable it, but you can see here that this is already enabled. I have a video where this was enabled where I explained how to enable it, but it's straightforward. You come to manage here and just enable. Okay, I can disable it, but it's already enabled, so that's done. It takes a couple of minutes for it to be enabled. Now that this is enabled, the next step for us is to create a subnet, and within that subnet we are going to create that particular zone where we can launch the instance. So we're going to go straight into VPC. So under services we go to networking and VPC. So there are two options. You can create a fresh VPC, okay, if you want, total isolation, or you can use the existing VPC and just create a new subnet within that VPC. So if you go to subnets, I already have one subnet here created, okay, but we can create another one so that we can see how the subnet is created. So if I click on create subnet, I'm selecting the same VPC and I'm going to give it a new subnet name. Let me call it ng subnet 2. Okay, this is the name I want to call this. Now the most important part is this configuration here. So the availability zone, you're going to see the Nigeria Lagos. So this tells you that this local zone is actually in Lagos in Nigeria. So you can see the other availability zones we have for South Africa, but because we are targeting the one for Lagos Nigeria, we're going to select Lagos Nigeria's availability zone. And then for the subnets, we just need to create a new subnet for that. Okay, this is, let's see, 64, and let's see, okay, I think I'm causing a CIDR overlap here. Let us give it something else. Okay, let me quickly clarify what the last subnet is. I'll come back here and recreate the subnet. So we already have that subnet. That is why it is giving that issue. So I'm just going to delete this and create another one. Or you know what, we can still use it. What we just need to do is we can increase the range where it is starting from. So let me quickly do that. Select VPC, subnet 02, availability zone Lagos, and then the subnet CIDR. I can say 128. This should be fine. Okay, yeah, that worked. So it's just a smaller subnet space. So we have the subnet created now. So we have two subnets created. One was the one I created before, and this is the one I created now. Okay, the final stage is to launch our EC2 instance. So let's head over to EC2. We'll go over to compute, and then we go to EC2. So when we are launching the EC2 instance, there are other things we also need to take note of. Number one, there are specific instance types that are not allowed in this availability zone, because if you try to launch the instance on your own, if you try to launch it the normal way, you're going to get an error of not being able to launch it. So we need to check what kind of instance types are available in this local zone. So to do that, you simply go to you go to the instance types and then you search with the local zone. Okay, so we are going to go to zones. Under availability zones, we'll search for something that looks like Lagos. Okay, so AF South loss 1, that is the availability zone for Lagos, the local zone for Lagos, loss 1A. So let's see, it's not giving us anything here. So let's see, contains loss. Okay, let's get this from here. So let's see, zone that contains this. Yeah, okay, so that's the search query, and these are the instance types that we can launch in the Lagos availability zone at the moment. If you try to launch any other instance apart from this, it's going to fail. So let's quickly launch our instance. I'm going to open a new tab for that. Over here, quickly launch the instance. Okay, we can do a T3X large, something pretty basic. Let's call it Nigerian server. We can choose any, AMI we want. Let me go for an Ubuntu. And here we need to make sure that we choose the right instance type, which is a T3X large. T3X large. Okay, and then we also need to make sure that we choose the right subnet for it. By default, VPC gives you no preference subnet, which means AWS chooses any subnet they like for you. But here we need to specifically choose the subnet that we have created, and which is over here, which is ng subnet 02 here, and we can choose a key. Okay, I have just something called a test key, because we're trying to just run through a sample. So every other thing I'm going to leave it as default because I'm not securing or configuring anything, and I will click on launch. So it's trying to create security groups and it will start the instance initiation process. So when I click on this, you are going to see the instance launching. Okay, you can see it's launching. So I'm going to pause the video so that it will launch. It takes a couple of minutes. When it launches, we'll come back and see the IP address, and we will check on the internet to be sure that this IP address is a Nigerian IP address. So something to take note of during the launch of the instance. Okay, I missed that when I was launching the instance initially. It's under the network settings. After selecting the appropriate subnet, you need to make sure that you auto assign a public IP here. You make it enabled. If you don't do that, your instance will not come with a public IP address. Okay, just take note of that. Now our instance is up and running. We can see that it comes with a public IP address. So let's check if this IP address is a Nigerian IP address. Okay, there's this tool called IP2 location that you can use to check that. Okay, I'm just going to copy this IP address and paste it here. Oh, they used to have a search bar. Okay, they have a lookup here. So, and voila, it shows you the country is Nigeria, the region is Lagos, and everything. You can see ISP is Amazon Data Service. So this means that this IP address is coming from Nigeria and the server is located right here in Lagos. Thank you very much.